What is up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? We are here talking about Overwatch again. We're talking about competitive. If you've been playing competitive lately, you've been playing in Season 8, and you've noticed some changes from the last season. They have made it so that higher levels are just win and loss, so no performance-based SR. But for us and the majority of players down in the lower ranks, what does that mean for us? Is it still competitive? Are the matches good? Nova had an amazing idea, I think, about competitive, so I'm going to let him take it away with that.
Well, first off, let me make a too long didn't read response to what you just said. And no, it's not better. At least not for us. Maybe if you're in the platinum and above, it might be slightly better, but it's still a shit system, let's be honest. So my opinion here, or my thought, is that we need to really work on something to make it so players aren't, I hate to say it, but they aren't as bad. And what I thought was, maybe if you had to play X amount of time on a role or on a character before you can queue them in comp. So I guess I don't care if it's character or role, but maybe instead of being able to play Soldier 76 with 0 hours in a competitive mode, which is supposed to be competitive, maybe you need to play Soldier for 10 hours before you can lock him. Let's be honest, insta-lock him in competitive.
Heroes of the Storm does something like this with their level system, where you have to have a certain amount of characters at X level, and you can't. Can you play that character in ranked matches if you haven't played them before?
No, you have to have so many characters at level 10, I believe, and then you can only play those characters in ranked, as far as I know.
Oh, really? So it locks it down to the actual level of the hero in order to actually play them in competitive.
As far as I know, that's true, but it could be wrong. But you definitely have to have X amount at level 10 or above to get into comp.
So yeah, that's really curious to me. If they did a system like that in Heroes of the Storm, why didn't they do that in Overwatch? It seems...
It's because Overwatch is buy to play and Heroes of the Storm is free to play. If they wanted to do that with Overwatch, they'd get a whole bunch of people complaining that I bought the game, I should be able to play anything I want to because I spent the money on this game. Whereas with Heroes of the Storm, it's free. You didn't pay for anything, so they can do what they want with it.
Oh, fucking QQ some more. It's competitive mode, not quick play and arcade.
Yeah, that's true. I mean...
But it's just quick play, Josh.
Oh, God. Yeah, you can go and watch our video on that. But, like, really, it doesn't matter if you just bought the game. The question is it fair and does it work? And I think for a lot of the lower ranks, which is essentially the majority of the player base, it just doesn't work. And I think this is a big reason why. We have a lot of players just jumping in competitive and locking a hero without much time on that hero.
I also love the idea that you need to have X amount of time in more than 2 heroes to get into competitive, because this is a game of flexing. You should have to play, I don't know, 5-10 heroes for at least 5 or 10 hours each so you can get into competitive, because it's supposed to be a mode that is competitive. I think our talk before about should there be another quick play or a competitive practice mode really blends well with this whole conversation.
That's a good point. To be fair, they do require players to get to level 25, but that does not account for the cases where players just play on one hero up to level 25, and that is the one trick problem. Without requiring players to play on different roles and different heroes, they're just not going to solve this problem.
Well, another problem with that is just you also have the issue people are just good at one specific role. Like, I'm pretty damn good at support, but I can't DPS that well, I can't tank that well, so I'm at the mercy of good DPS players and good tank players, which never seem to be the case when I play. But now we need to figure out, okay, now what about role select? Because if somebody's can't tank or heal to save their lives, where they'd be better off with Soldier 76 and dropping his heal on the ground than playing an Ana or a Mercy, that's also an issue. Like, there needs to be something to consider that as well.
I guess my thought of 5 or 10 characters at a certain level may be a little high. But you could still say 2 or 3, right? Because there's definitely at least 3 of each role that you could play for 10 hours before you get into competitive.
Oh, at least.
But I agree that you need to have some sort of role queue if you want to go this way, because like I also am not a great DPS player. I can play fire pretty well, but at a certain level I am outclassed in the DPS role where I can do decent with tank or healer.
I think they need to do a role select when you queue. Like you need to either select support or do what they have them listed in the Overwatch League. You have tanks, you have support, and then you have offense. And then you can only have 2.
They also have flex.
Well, they have flex, but flex comes in for different. Like a flex will come in as a tank, or a flex will come in as a healer or a DPS. They're a flex because they can fill multiple roles. But what I'm getting,
I think that sorry to interrupt, but I think that should also be considered a role in the role queue.
that would be fine. You could do flex, and then maybe they'll give you bonus SR for if you win by flexing, and then you get flexed into a support position. So now you have to be the support. But
don't do the bonus SR because that'll just fuck over the role. Everybody OQ is flex.
yeah, that's true. Maybe the queue times will just be faster. But what I was gonna say is they need to do a role select, and then there's only going to ever be 2 of each role on every team. So Blizzard can just force the meta. It's always going to be 2-2-2. And then at that point, hey, you know what? You only have to actually have 2 heroes that you have 10 hours on. And say I have 10 hours on Mercy and I have 10 hours on Moira. And no time on any other support. When I queue for comp, those are only for support. Those are the only 2 healers I can use.
What about this? If you want to queue as a support, you need to have 2 characters with 10 hours each. If you want to queue as a DPS, same thing, blah blah blah, tank. If you want to queue as a flex, you have to do this 2 hours or 10 hours on at least 2 in each role. And I think the queuing should be like 1 DPS, 1 healer, 1 tank, 3 flex. That way they don't force a meta. You definitely need a tank, a healer, and a DPS on every team, and then the flex can fill based on what the team wants to do.
Yeah, but see, the problem with the flex is that you'll still run into the problem that you have now. You'll have flex people come in and they'll all insta-lock DPS. You have to say, okay, if I'm choosing flex and there's a group out there that has 2 support, 2 tanks, and 1 offensive hero, I fill in that 6th slot and we get queued into a game, and then it locks me as an offensive flex slot.
But remember that the flex people have to have X amount of hours in all characters so that they can play flex.
I don't care. If it's 3 flex and then 1-1-1, you're gonna have 4-1-1 games all over the place at lower levels.
I don't know. I think that you're gonna have these flex players picking more of the actual flex roles. What does the team need? I mean, the biggest problem right now with matchmaking is that there is no context as to what the team actually needs. These players that could play flex aren't coming into it with the context that they're going to play flex, so they end up picking DPS like you think they're going to do. But if they had the context of I'm playing flex, I queued as flex, they're not going to pick DPS.
And let's be honest, the system at our level is not making a flex player, it's not helping the flex players because it's performance-based SR. So they're going to pick whatever they're best at so they can gain extra SR when they win and less SR when they lose.
Now that is a real problem. Like they should definitely remove that SR performance-based system for ranks of, what is it, Platinum and below now that still have that system.
So even if you set it up to where flex will come in and fill any role, and you're saying that those people will come in knowing that they're going to fill in the position that's needed. You have people right now that come in and insta-lock DPS and know that a certain position needs to be filled, but they still don't do it. They'll come in chat, they'll insta-queue Hanzo and say, we need a shield tank. Where's our shield tank? Or we need a Mercy. Why do we have a Lucio? We need a Mercy. Like, that still happens at our level, so you're gonna have people that queue for flex and then that happens to them.
Is that because of the performance-based SR?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, the games that I've seen, the people that insta-lock DPS aren't exactly very good with them.
But they only have to get better stats than the other people at that level. And if they do that, and I mean, you're talking minorly better, then they lose less SR than you did. And when they win, they gain more SR, so they eventually move up.
Or if you're like me, you just lose everything because you can't get anybody good on your team ever, and you're always quad golding.
There's probably a myriad of reasons why all of these outcomes happen, and a lot of it, honestly, is probably not down to that people are bad. It's just that people aren't playing as a team, and that's really what we mean when we say that the game needs a role queue system. We need people to play as a team so that everybody in every role can try and actually win a game and have a real chance of winning a game. And that's really what Blizzard needs to solve.
Yeah, it's 100% a team game. If your tank's going out there and not putting a shield up, then the DPS suck and the healers suck because they can't stay alive.
But I mean, there are people that are, oh, Reinhardt's shield is right there, I'm going to step in front of it and die.
No, it happens on all levels, but if it was either you gain when you win or you lose when you lose, like the higher levels are, I think it would even out. It would take some time, and a rank reset might not be horrible. I definitely would not play for the first week, but I think it would improve the overall rating of everybody.
I agree. I think that there's a lot of ideas here, because it's definitely not just one thing that Blizzard needs to do to fix this problem. There's a lot of things that have gone wrong that have caused ranked to be really bad for most players. So they need to fix a lot of these issues that we've talked about.
Yeah, and I'll just do one last closing comment is, if you've watched some interviews with the Overwatch League players, I think 90% of them said the thing that Overwatch needs to improve on is matchmaking.
There you go. Yeah, we can close on that. That's what the pros say. That's what we're talking about today. And I have no doubt that we'll see something from Blizzard in this in the coming weeks and months. Anyway, this is us talking about Overwatch. Hope you liked the video. Give it a like, subscribe. Thank you all for watching.
Get good, scrubs.
Hey, it's Ratted here. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe as well. It really helps out the channel. We put out multiple new videos each week and we appreciate all of your support. Thanks for watching, everyone, and cheers.